Morning, 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 all. Morning, Roxanne. Thank you for my brooms. Jade Impulse 66. Morning, Lil Tupin. Morning, Sir. Desmond Samuel. Morning to you, too. Ruben Rogers. Good morning. Denise Bramble. Morning. Morning, Rukman. God bless day to you as well. Aljet. Aline. Morning. Donna Walcott. Sedena Koshi. Natalie F. Good morning to all of you guys. Morning, Diane. Carol Boyce. John. Morning. John Edwards, morning to you. Judy Bowen, morning, Judy. Keelan Jackson, morning. Ashlyn Robertson, morning, morning, Alison. Gemma Alexander, Deborah Duranty, Ruth Fronten, morning. Lisa Atwater, special good morning to you as well. I hope Facebook doesn't play the fool today. So it's 6:38. Apologies for the little late start, but the early cuts off too because I have a early morning today. So I might just run till about 8 or a little after there. Morning, Carol. Morning, Lynette. Right, so let me just jump straight into the leading issues over the last couple of days. So, well, I think Trini Karen has been talked out, right? Since that stunt, that attention-seeking stunt that she and Timothy Hammersmith pulled by jumping over the railing, saying that they did not receive their invitations to Mr. Pandey's funeral. Who storms a funeral? Trinidad? Only in Trinidad. Yeah, only in Trinidad, them kind of things happen. Storming a funeral. When it was open to the public, because we would have seen lesser mortals, if you want to call them that, because Mrs. Teixeira seems to think that she was, up there, so to speak. So she should have received a special invitation and so on, unlike when there were so many other opportunities and avenues for her to attend the funeral. I saw people saying, well, if you didn't get an invitation, you should have just gone to the cremation site. But that wasn't necessary because there were placings outside of the outside Napa, outside of the auditorium for members of the public. So, but the issue at APL, based on the many interviews that she has done since Mr. Pandey's funeral over the last couple of days, is that when they arrived, they were not allowed in to go and park, as the case may be. And she would have indicated that the police would have told her, well, look, the procession has already started. So you will have to park somewhere down there. And to get in, you'll have to, well, you could jump the railing. Everybody else would have arrived on time, but some people feel they need to arrive fashionably late and expect that because of your former position that you should be treated in a different way. And it's interesting, these same people who expect that because you were a former minister or a former president of the Senate, whatever the position, public service position you held, that you should be treated differently. And these are the same people who like to talk about animal farm. And some animals are more equal than others and all of that foolishness. And what upsets me is the media that continues to refer to Mrs. Teixeira in her former dispensation and not based on what she the position she currently holds, which is deputy political leader of the political party called Hope, when they keep referring to her as former finance minister. No, and she should insist that they give her props for the current position that she holds. Since she often wants to promote her party, remind people that there is a new party on the hustings called Hope. And you are the deputy political leader. You should be happy and proud to say that. Instead, everything is former finance minister, former finance minister. And she keeps repeating, a former president and a former president. The man may have acted as president a couple of times by virtue of the fact that he was president of the Senate between 2010 to 2015. That does not make him former president, right? He was never the substantive post holder. He may have acted a couple of times. So she needs to stop with that foolishness about a former president and all of this thing. Because based on her logic, they should have invited all past politicians who are still alive. Yeah? In which case, it wouldn't have had enough space in Napa. It wouldn't have enough space. I see a lot of formers, like I saw Ramona Ramdial put up a post stating that, she's a former and she didn't get any invitation to the funeral. And I think she would have been more entitled to an invitation than Karen Nunes Teixeira by virtue of the fact that she was a former UNC member of parliament. Yeah? So if you're looking to invite formers, I think you would start with the party that Mr. Pandey founded and then work from there, in which case Karen would be at the bottom of the totem pole. But, all of them is about stunting in order to get attention. Yeah? Because a lot of things that are taking place in the country now that favors the government puts them in the shadows. So right now they're standing in the shadows of the government. But I want to give her kudos for one thing. That in an interview yesterday on I-95.5, she praised the government for its handling of Mr. Pandey's homegoing. Yeah, from everything that the government has done since Mr. Pandey would have traveled abroad via air ambulance in December, leading up to his cremation. Based on what was reported in the newspapers, the government would have seen to all of that. So as a former prime minister, Mr. Pandey would have been entitled to certain things with respect to healthcare and all of these, which is part of the package that you get when you demit office as a prime minister. Most people would just tend to focus on the fact that his pension would have been equivalent to the current prime minister's salary. But besides that, there are other perks to which they're entitled. And so from the time Mr. Pandey would have fallen ill, experiencing breathing problems and so on in early December, the state would have seen to his accommodation abroad and all of that, and making arrangements for his body to be returned to Trinidad and Tobago expeditiously, because anybody who has had a family member pass away abroad and wanted to repatriate the body would know it usually takes some time. Certainly not a day or two, as we saw in the case of Mr. Pandey. Normally, it could take anywhere from 10 days or longer, depending on making all of the arrangements and so on. So the government has been receiving kudos from a number of quarters, a lot of, even from anti-PNM quarters as well, persons who we know don't support and not supporters of the PNM, persons who don't normally commend the government on anything, couldn't help but commend the government in this instance. And those who couldn't criticize, well, they did the right thing. They shut up. They hushed them out. Maybe it was out of deference for the Pandey family, or in some cases, as I will play for you just now, and today is one of those I crave your indulgence days, so whenever I say that, who the person I'm going to play. Right? So I beg all in up front. Right? But kudos to Karen for that one good thing. I think this is the first time in the past 8+ years that I have ever heard her commend the government on anything. Yeah? So, but she wasn't the only stunter. While she would have captured the headlines on that day, it would have overshadowed the other stunt that would have been pulled by Mr. Pandey's successor, Kamla Prasad Pisesa, who, if one wasn't sure, and if you were not from Trinidad and Tobago, and you were looking at footage of the cremation, what took place at the cremation site, you would have thought that Kamla Prasad Bisesa was Basdeo Pandey's wife or his daughter. Right? Everything for these people is a production. They have no class. They're classless. That even in the man's last rites, okay, you went to the funeral, you went to supper, do what you had to do and whatnot. Then you went down to the cremation site. Right. So they had a whole tent for themselves. They bring all their fancy chairs and so on and whatnot. And then they started to engage in the PR exercise, right? The photo op. So Her Royal Majesty, right, sat down on her throne, and of course, all of the, I'll keep it live friendly, right? All of these men who lack testicular fortitude came one by one, to pay obeisance to Mrs. Prasad. Says, all hail Her Royal Majesty, Yeah, they had a curtsy. Yeah, that's all they were doing. These men were curtsying. They're supposed to just bow, but a set of curtsiers. So when you go on her Facebook page, you will see her official Facebook page, a whole slew of pictures with who, greeting Fally Augustine, who greeted, she being greeted and having a conversation with Fally. A couple of pictures there, and she's proud of that. Her being receiving obeisance from, what's his name, Ansel Roger. A couple of pictures there of that as well. If you see him, I don't know. These men have no shame, No shame, but especially Roger. Especially a man like Ansel Roger, right? You go and shake his hand and you think, and if you see him bending like he looking like the hunchback of Notre Dame. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This is the same woman who tried to sabotage your efforts to get the refinery. Like you forget. I don't know if you have short-term memory, right? Just the other day, when it is that in 2018, when it was announced the closure of the refinery, and the government gave first preference to the OWTU, when the same Ansel Roger, again, testament to his poor leadership, indicated we're not interested. We don't want no refinery. And then you change your mind because people go and tell you, have sense. And you drop this elaborate proposal to bid for the refinery alone, and then, you decide you're going to make the rounds and share this proposal with Tom, Dick, Harry, Jenny, and Jean, and you would have meetings. And when you met with Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and her team, they tried to sabotage you by telling you, go big or go home. Right? So why are they only bidding for the refinery alone? Bid for the whole thing, the whole company. But the government wasn't offering you all the whole company, they were just offering the refinery. So you went back now, spend money to revise your proposal to bid for the entire company, the non-core assets as well as the refinery. And while you're thinking, but that's a good idea, we didn't study that. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, and they're laughing all the way to wherever it is, to the rum shop. So, I see, what are we catching? What are we stupid? What are we stupid? Because we know Rowley and them didn't offer the whole company. So if it is they put out a proposal requesting the whole company, they will laugh at them and say they're not serious and reject the bid. But when it is that the government said, look, we entertained the proposal, we did not offer the non-core assets for sale, just the refinery. So we will only entertain that aspect of the proposal. And they decided, well, okay, we will work with you, we will enter give you the refinery. And all of a sudden, the same people who just a couple of weeks before told Mr. Roger and his team, go big or go home, bid for the whole company. When it is that the government awarded them just the refinery, you come in the parliament to ask 10 questions and you want to know how the hell the union could afford that, and where they get any money for that, and all kind of thing. All kind of thing. Trying to put a spoke in their wheel. Yeah? You didn't, when you were sitting down with them in your boardroom, in your rented headquarters, or your office, wherever it is you all met, you didn't ask them that. You're concerned how they could pay for the refinery, but you tell them bid for the whole blasted company. That making sense. And that makes sense to them, That making sense to them. And today, the woman who did that who spearheaded that, right? And tried to sabotage you. You're going, yes, ma'am, what is Oliver Twist, is the name of it? Please, ma'am, can I have some more? Can I have some more licks? Can I have some more abuse? Some more betrayal? Please, ma'am. Thanks for what I get so far. Idiot. And this man leading one of the largest unions in the country's history. Yeah, that is the leadership. That's why he went and threw in his lot with them for the local government election. And even that couldn't save them. They get a backside handed to them. Right? With Jack is back, Gary the Great, and OWTU support, they still couldn't beat the PNM. All of that come together and still couldn't beat the PNM. The rest, well, 2 seats, I think one seat, one seat that the PNM really should not have lost. There's Macamillion who win by a few votes, really and truly. But that was not because of any special things that they did, but rather because you had slack, PNM slackers. Who said, me going and vote now. I don't vote in local election. That's not important. And you see, tell all you see that mindset that leave that back in the 19th century, not even the 20th, the 19th century. This thing about me going to vote in local election and the thing and that. And you don't understand how important these things forget the fact. Well, aside from the fact that you're putting management of your district in the hands of these people who couldn't care less about you, and it's all about Papi Show. That's what it's about, nothing else. They say, hey, look, we take a PNM seat. Look, I see that the PNM was whole, let me take that. What have they done for you? Then you say, them councils and they really do nothing anyway, so what's the point? Yeah, well, I told you all that UNC supporters were motivated to go and vote, and they did, and you all give them a trophy for them to talk about. Right? So Miss Lady goes down to the man cremation site. And it's bad enough that you set up all your tent, right? You bring your harem, set up all your throne and, all your minions had to sit down behind you and whatnot, so forth. And one by one, your loyal subjects coming up to you and shaking hand. And the only thing they do is bend down to kiss your foot. I'm sure some of them probably wanted to try that too, but couldn't stand the public ridicule. And then you decide you must walk the space. You need to go and shake hand and greet the crowd and so on. So when you're classless, inconsiderate, the only people on Tuesday who should have been walking the crowd, shaking hands and so on, Kila Pandey and other members of the Pandey family. But you would have swear that Kamla Prasad Bisasa was Oma Pandey. When you look at these pictures, right, and all of them with the UNC flag and whatnot, and shaking hand and what, could barely walk. But you decide to use that opportunity for politics, to use that opportunity, shamelessly so, for political mileage, with no regard for the fact that just mere feet away, you had the Pandey family who, in grief, performing the last rites for their loved one. No regard, Tell them. Well, probably say, well, I sent a WhatsApp to Michaela and she didn't respond to me. I didn't go to the wake, so since they had no regard for me, well, I'll have none for them. It was their right so to do, and you were fast and out of place. Fast and out of place. And what is worse is that it speaks to her poor judgment. And not just hers, that of those around her. Those men who, as I keep telling you all, when you decide to run for office under the banner of the United National Congress, you must understand that if it's 5 years you intend to serve as a member of parliament, or 4 years as a councillor, note that you would be required to deposit your testicles with Mrs. Prasad Bisasa for your period of servitude. For that 4 years or 5 years, you will be a eunuch. You're singing soprano, right? You have no testicles. And clearly that is what we saw. Nobody could whisper in her ears and say, that, oh gosh, that's not proper, After the stunt you all pulled, the whole theatrical performance last week Friday, outside and inside the parliament, then you had to put out a big public statement, a press release, letting the public know Mrs. Prasad Bisasa will be leading the opposition team in paying respects, signing the condolence book and viewing Mr. Pandey's body. So you put that out there. That's something to put out for the media. So please come and show up in your numbers to witness this spectacle, which is exactly what it was. And so they time it, she come in such and such time, all of them line off in the courtyard waiting for her to come in. And again, when she reached in now, could barely walk with the assistance of her security detail. She had to walk the line so each of them could, greet and all of this and genuflect. She walked the line and then you lead them inside the parliament and so on. You sit down. There's a whole theatrical performance. So they had to record her sitting, signing the condolence book. She writing a whole thesis. And when you finish, you say, "Oh, you're happy now? Who are you talking to? Who are you asking? Were you forced to do that?" So in the same way, somebody could whisper in your ears and tell you to do that. They couldn't whisper in your ears on the cremation site and tell you, "Hey, relax yourself. Time and place. This is neither the time nor the place for political showmanship." Right? And you hold a whole press conference after you signed the condolence book last week, Friday, to take questions from the media. Who does that? Dr. Rowley went in, he's the Prime Minister. He went in, he signed, the media happened to be the away this thing. All right, they see him they took a few pictures of him signing the condolence book. And when he was finished, he went his merry way. He didn't stop to hold a press conference and take questions from the media and all of that and ask him for his thoughts on Mr. Pandey. Those thoughts were expressed in his social media post. That's a fundamental difference between the two. I didn't see any pictures. If you go on Dr. Rowley's Facebook page now or his Instagram page, any of his social media handles, you will not see any pictures with Dr. Rowley paying respects to Mr. Pandey. Right? And that's how you show respect, not just for the individual who has passed, but the family members as well, which is probably why Makila Pandey saw it fit to mention the names in her eulogy and in recognizing members in attendance. Would have simply referred to Kamala Persad-Visasa as the leader of the opposition, but didn't call her name, right? And Makila deserves kudos for that. No hypocrisy there. I'm going to play that thing. And she's well mindful of the way that Kamala Persad-Visasa would have treated her father in his last days of politics. That rather than go out in a blaze of glory, she, Mr. Warner, and others would have caused the man to go out in shame, take the party from him, which he founded, and I am sure that it would have been in his mind that somehow his daughter would have played some role in the future of that party, that he worked so hard to build, worked very hard to build. All of the things we hear now about the history from 19 or long come forward, all the things that he did to put together this party, and to understand that even when he left, not one trace of the Pandey legacy is there. Not Makila, not Subhas, nobody. Nobody. So the last trace of, so Mr. Pandey has gone to the great beyond, and he is now a footnote in UNC history. Yeah? But all these hypocrites now, you couldn't even let the man go in peace. You had to come and see what political mileage you could get. What a shameful, disgraceful. And that is what that party proud of. That is what they want to prop up as a leader. And yeah, that's what they want to prop up as a leader. But if Dr. Rowley had done that loudmouth wench, right? That bald-headed fool would have run to do a doubles and coffee. He would have do it right there in Sapa, or right there at the cremation site. You have to record Dr. Rowley and stand up and say all kind of nastiness. But your leader has shown how classless she is once more, and not one word of that. Not one word. And with all the licks that she gets in the public domain, as I will play for you just now, you come to do a doubles and coffee to talk stupidness about Obeah and all kind of foolishness to distract the attention, because even UNC supporters are saying that she was classless in that display. And not just her, but the other members of the UNC, her team, that decided to go down there and look for political mileage, turn the man's cremation into a UNC convention. And to the supporters who encourage her in that, by stretching out your hand to shake hand and say, yes, ma'am, shame on all you too. But as I said, basket of deplorables. And once more, they have demonstrated that they are a basket of deplorables. That's the kind of thing all they should condemn. But no, let it happen on the other side now. Let it happen on the other side. When Mr. Manning died, did you see Dr. Rowley do that? Dr. Rowley knows time and place. He don't do them things. He not in that. He does, and he's always said, don't fall in love with the office. He has made that point before. And because he's not in love with office, and not inclined to want to hog up and hold on to office, that he doesn't look for these opportunities to pull a stunt. He don't know how to do that. Right? When he's ready to go, he will leave. But, yeah, that is the Prime Minister in waiting. Everything for her is glam, camera, lights, camera, action. Look, man. Look, man. I mean, you're coming the people thing with a dress, all your back outside. Even your attire and all was deplorable and shameless. Going to an event such as that. You tell me you have another outfit that you could have wear that was proper like that? All your back outside. You're in shame. And you're coming up in supper. Well, put on if it is that you want to put on a show or whatever it is. But no, you walk in, the people be morning. The reporter telling her Happy New Year. Well, it's not so happy. You're trying to fool. Really? Kill an amount of time with you? You're a waste. Anyway, poor soul. When you're desperate. Let's see if I get this. Yes. Yeah, that's what you call desperation. And in the face of all the things that are happening in the country that they don't want to admit. So, should I play that now, man? All right. So there are a number of things that happened this week other than Mr. Pandey's funeral. And I'm sure, well, anyway, I'll put this on here. As I said, I crave your indulgence. Let me get this here. Right. Right. Yeah, I know it's tough to listen to, but after we were fortunate not to have any doubles and coffee for about 2 days, this Wabin, this gutter rat, finally came out of hibernation for 2 days. I don't know, he was probably recovering from all the rum he drank after the funeral, because, yeah, I'm sure they went to the favorite, whatever is their favorite watering hole after they left the cremation. And, well, we go and take one for Baz now. Take one for Baz? None of they don't know about that. Not you, not your leader. None of they don't know about take one. One more. You know that fellow who's be taking pictures and they call him, a photographer, they call him one more. All easy ball is one more. Yeah, but when they went down to their favorite watering hole after the cremation, we taking one for Baz and all the ball and one more. So everybody want to take one. Yeah, it's my turn. I want to make a toast too. All right. Yeah, Mooney, it's your turn. Your turn to make a toast. All right, follow it up there again. And everybody only shut in. Who next? Anil? Yeah, well, all you know is a talker, so I had to take two. That's them. Bunch of alcoholics. Love rum. The only thing they love more than money is rum. I mean, make it clear, this has nothing to do with race. So all the UNC supporters who like to turn everything in race, they have nothing to do with race. All right? All of them. Whether it be Kamla, Jolene, all of them. Okay? Let's just make that point clear. So don't come here with all your racist nonsense at all. I don't deal up in that. Right.
Stock in the land, and now you see the number one P&M company, Massey, that is also 31% owned by the government, which right now is P&M.
So before I play him, right? This was a clear attempt at deflection. A clear attempt to distract. Because yesterday the Prime Minister would have officially opened the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate, which is to house a number of international companies, significant number of Chinese companies as well. One company is already in operation. They make luggage. Among the brands that they're responsible for is Samsonite, which is one of the most popular luggage brands, especially for persons who travel a lot to be aware that is one of the more reliable brands. It is now manufactured in Trinidad. So instead of you seeing on the tag in the future made in Europe, you will now be seeing made in Trinidad and Tobago. Certainly, I think that is something that is worthy of plaudits, but not from these Not from these idiots. They don't get that from them. They will seek to malign and talk about, yeah, but all they have so much space and how many lots in the park, but only 20% or 25% or whatever is the case is occupied and so on. Right? Where's the one that you all built? I want to ask them that. When they come with that stupid talk about, yeah, but the fitness park, but how many tenants they have? Where is the industrial park that you all built and how many tenants? How many international tenants did you all bring to Trinidad between 2010 to 2015? Let us do a comparison, since all they want to criticize what this administration has done and only talking nonsense about what this government had done in the last 8 years. They have nothing to show for it. These idiots who like to talk that talk, dumb and dotish, every evening on that radio station, and then the one who comes after them on some nights, right? The one calling himself a professor, he and Uncle Tom. Two of them. Government, then they have the supporters, the callers who like to call in people like Kunji. 9 years almost, and this government they do nothing, and they have nothing to show, and they have nothing to show. Anybody who talking that, you don't just have cataract in your eye, you have it in your brain as well. Glaucoma in your brain to talk that foolishness in the face of so much evidence. But we know what all you're about. They're not serious. So, in the wake of the embarrassment that this clown, he was a part of that foolishness that took place, that theatrical performance at the Mr. Pandey's cremation, and the backlash that they get, not just from persons who don't support the UNC, but from persons who support the UNC who said, hey, when you read the comments, I'm a UNC supporter, but I can't support this. So they need to distract from that. So he come now to talk this nonsense. Anyway, we're here just now. Right? So Phoenix Park was opened. The industrial estate was open yesterday. And again, another creation of this PNM administration. So the Prime Minister would have indicated that you have a number of companies that are already signed on, have already signed leases to occupy space in that industrial estate, where it would not only be bringing foreign exchange to the country, but also creating employment for locals as well. We have a number of Chinese companies, as I said, will be occupying space there. I think the contractor was Chinese because I saw the Chinese ambassador was there at the event and so on. But of course, you know what the supporters and leadership of that other party will say. Yeah, they're selling out the country to the Chinese. They only ask that Chinese, they bring in the other thing. That's all. The same people who talk about no foreign direct investment coming to this country in the last 9 years. Foreign direct investment has been negative and so on. But the foreign direct investment in the face now and they want it. Talking about the government selling out the country to the Chinese. That's the dotish talk they're going to come with. But we pay them no mind because we understand that as we go forward to 2025, that narrative that the government ain't do nothing for the last 9 years will become more and more. The fact that it's one of the biggest lies that has ever been told would be exposed. And they will have less and less opportunity to continue to push that foolishness. And so they will come with all kinds of distractions, as I will play for you in this club. Again, I beg your indulgence. It's not that long, because I don't know, he was probably itching to go and take a little gazurna. So he didn't talk long. And he did this like late last night to know he was doing for the whole day. But anyway. So then you have the government, would, as I said before, would have been receiving kudos, praises from several different quarters over the last couple of days for its handling of Mr. Pandey's funeral, notwithstanding the attempts of showmanship by some people, that it was, and persons are in fact siding with Amory Brown in the way that he dealt with Mrs. Nunes in ignoring her for the most part, and his comments that he would have made afterwards when the media asked him for comment on it, right? And the mere fact, as I said, yesterday, she just simply refused to admit that she was wrong. Refused to admit that she was wrong. But we expect nothing different. It gives us an idea of what we can expect from her as deputy political leader of this party, hopes to be the next government of Trinidad and Tobago, right? Then we had the announcement that NGC would have earned some $2.38 billion in profit. Profit, not revenue. Profit. Same people who was knocking NGC the other day, they suffer a loss and they waste $200 million to try and save Train 1 and Train 1 there and all kind of thing. They had plenty to say about that. But $2.38 billion in profit. No comments from them on that. No kudos. Just like there was nothing positive coming from them for the Dragon Gas. So when the face of all of this good news, only good news coming out, we're seeing photos now with the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure doing works and transport doing a little better in terms of promoting what they are doing, and perhaps other ministries could follow suit. So don't just put things on your website, but understand you need to engage social media, because that is where the eyes are at. That is where people will see what it is that you're doing. And so whoever they have retained to help them to do that, kudos. So I'm seeing stuff showing up on social media now, Facebook, Instagram. Well, I'm not on TikTok, so I have no idea what's going on TikTok. But they're using the social media platforms to highlight some of the things that they're doing. Right? So kudos to Rohan Sinan and his team. So let's talk about the roads bad and the improving the road. You realize that talk kind of died down to it. Kind of died down. It's not as, the voices aren't as loud as they were before with respect to that, because work is being done. We're seeing roads being paved. Major roads, minor roads, roads that fall under the corporations, that the ministry is coming and paving these roads. And all these wretches could do, who are complaining all the time about how the road bad and it mashing up the car and the suspension, and they had to be changing shocks every Monday morning and so on. The roads are being paved now, and rather than say, well done, they come, I wonder how long that will last. What about the drainage? The drainage proper, and all of a sudden they become road engineers. They know how a road's supposed to be paved and all of that. I didn't know we had so many road experts in this country. Just because they cannot give the government its due. You complain about one thing, they fix it for you, you want to find problems with that too. But we expect nothing, because that party was born in sin and shapen in iniquity. So we expect nothing else from them. Nothing else from them. Because apparently good things could only happen when they're in power. When all the roads that they paved between 2010 to 2015, that is today in shambles, when in other jurisdictions, roads being paved and lasting for 10, 15 years, between 2010 to 2015, ask them the same thing all they were accusing this government of today, or the shoddy work and so on. We didn't have shabby work. If they had done proper work between 2010 to 2015, half of the roads all they're complaining about now that's in a mess would still be good. We'd have no issue with it. But they didn't do that. They spent plenty money on road paving. Plenty. Electioneering, 2013, by election in Shogunas West. What road they pave in Shogunas West? All kind of thing they do. Give out contracts and stuff to people, and then they want to pay. You have to do an assessment and an audit of the work and whatnot. Never forget that. All those contractors, small contractors, private contractors who mortgage their homes and mortgage their cars and use the little kakada that they had in the bank to go and take loan to buy equipment to get paving contracts. And then when they lost the local government, the by-election to Mr. Warner, they decided they ain't paying the contractors no more. And on our program on that station, Sunshine Hour, you all recall who used to listen to us, we brought in some of these contractors. Big man come into the studio and crying because they're about to lose their homes. The bank want to foreclose on them, right? To take their homes, take the car, and whatever else they put up as collateral to get money to be able to purchase equipment or lease equipment to take these contracts. And when they finish doing the work now, the government all of a sudden decided not paying because it didn't help them. They weren't able to fool and mama guide their own supporters to retain the Shogunas West seat, the crown jewel in the UNC's crown, right? Big man, I never forget that. Big man, and more than one, several contractors we came in to tell their story on the Sunshine Hour and crying in the studio. Yeah, they don't know what to do again. What to do? Yeah, but that is the alternative to the PNM. I'm gonna play this fool. Listen to his pathetic attempt to distract from all of the good news that we have been hearing over the last couple of days, right? All the plaudits the government has been receiving for a number of things. Also, to the Prime Minister would have announced yesterday at the opening of during his address at the opening of the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate, he would have confirmed what would have been said by the President of Guyana, that I think today Cabinet is supposed to sign off on this ferry service between Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Barbados. Yeah. So I understand that I think it's the Galleon's Passage, maybe one of the vessels that would be used in that whole arrangement. So so we will see how that goes. So persons now, okay, you could jump on the ferry if you want to go across to Guyana for a weekend or whatever. and you're getting flights with Caribbean Airlines or whatever it is, you would now soon have the facility to do that. So a vessel has been identified, and it's just to work out the logistics and so on. But we are seeing advancement now, things that never happened under any other administration. Trinidad and Tobago, Ghana, and Barbados in the first instance, a ferry service, and I suppose based on how that works, other Caribbean countries may soon join that arrangement. So it would no longer just be, air transport wouldn't be the only mode by which you can visit these countries. So we'll see how that works. But all of these things, they wouldn't comment on that. They're not going to talk about that. Listen to what the only thing he could have found to talk about must have been a slow news day yesterday. He looking for thing and he seeing nothing negative. So he had to go and pull up Chupet talk from donkey along since the Rock of Ages was a pebble. Listen to this fool, to borrow a term from Watchman in one of his calypsos, his bald-headed afterbirth.
While his former leader and prime minister was suffering from ill health, he boasted on a platform screaming PNM supporters, shouting and clapping that he from Mason House to Lekoto. And when somebody came out of the cabinet, they regretted it. And all they clap and all they applaud. When the member for Tobago West, Shamfa Kujo, rushed down in the parliament and said, we are in charge and we will be in your face like a chumbi from Lekoto. All they thought it was joke. All the pain that they bringing on you, the murder, the bloodshed, the evil, children dying, 6-year-old girl shot in her chest, 8-year-old boy shot to death playing basketball, children being shot, a father killed in broad daylight holding his 6-year-old daughter hand. All this evil stalking the land. And now you see the #1 PNM company, Massey, that is also 31% owned by the government, which right now is PNM, because the shares are purchased by NIB, Unit Trust Corporation, and so on, all control those shares by the government. And Jervis Warner, yeah, that name, Warner. Is Jervis Warner from Tobago? Is he related in any form or fashion to Warner Construction, Rowley's business partner and friend? Warner.
Yeah, apparently that's the only Warner you know, eh? That's the only Warner you know. You don't know about a Warner in your ranks and in your camp. You're asking if he related to that Warner. Idiot.
Construction, who getting contracts all over the place from Rowley, and Rowley buying apartment in Inez Gate Townhouse, owned by Warner Construction, and he didn't declare that he got a $468,000 benefit, and the Integrity Commission said, that's okay. He signed a form with the wrong valuation on the form, his integrity form, and the Integrity Commission said, that's okay. And the media said, that's okay. And any evil, any law Rowley break, he forced Paula May Weeks and Bliss Sipasa to misbehave in public office. And all they said, that's okay. He negotiated with Paris Al-Rawi an indemnity, an illegal indemnity, got 2 senior counsel to say it was legal so that man could go and lie on UNC members in a criminal matter, usurping the authority of the DPP.
You see, that's why I have an issue with, right? It's been viewed 1,400 times, had 14 shares. You see that Chupet talk he coming with that so man could go and lie on UNC members. This man is doing a live and lying bold-facedly. Bold-facedly when you know those 2 crooks as guilty as sin. They're more crooked than Miss Howard Cat. Right? Up to this day, they have not sued for wrongful arrest. Up to this day, they have not sued for malicious prosecution. Up to this day. When all the supporters are saying, them boys going and make real money, they're going and sue the government. Why haven't they done so? Over a year now, these charges have been dropped. And yet still they haven't sued. And one of them is, he's well acquainted with suing for wrongful arrest and malicious prosecution because he is actively involved as a lead attorney in such a case now for 9 men. But yet still he wouldn't do the same thing in his case if he is innocent. And I continue to say, if these gentlemen are innocent, And a simple way to prove it, Vincent Nelson outlined a number of transactions in which he would have transferred money to a Scotiabank account in the name of Gerald Ramdeen for the benefit of Anand Ramlugan. If it is that Mr. Nelson lied, as this bald-headed wench just said, why didn't they sue Mr. Nelson? Sue Nelson for defamation. Sue Nelson for libel. Why didn't you all do that? Up to now, two of the, as Kamala said, them boys is good liars. Sorry, lawyers. Among the best in Trinidad and Tobago, because you know all the best attorneys in this country come from the UNC camp. That's why all these criminals, when they have their court matters and they're looking for bail for murder and other crimes, turn to UNC lawyers, not PNM lawyers, UNC lawyers, because they have no scruples, right? No morals, no ethics. So to listen to this liar who hopes to be the next member of parliament for St. Joseph, right? This two-tongued, inveterate liar come to tell you now about, oh, they negotiate indemnity so this man could go and lie on UNC members. Poppycock. All Mr. Gerald Ramdeen needs to do, produce your bank statement. Simple. We don't asking you to see all of the transactions. Take a highlighter, a black marker, and redact all of the things that you don't want us to see. And just provide us with 1 month. Just 1 month to prove your innocence. Because Mr. Nelson would have itemized dates on which he sent this money and the amount. And it was over a period of months. So just show us 1 month. Say, all right, in May of 2012 or 2013, he said that he deposited £200,000 or £50,000 or whatever it is to my account on this date. And the normal turnover time for a wire transfer of that nature is 3 days or 5 days. Look my statement here. There is no such corresponding transaction on this account. So Nelson lied. Why hasn't he done that? Simple. Mrs. Basarbi says I love to put up thing on the big screen behind her when they had a Monday night forum. How come he didn't do that to say, look the bank statement here, it's a lie? That, you know, that is what irks me with these people. The whole country know them men guilty. The whole blasted country know. Them know too, you know. But continue to come and tell you, oh, this is a PNM thing and PNM and the indemnity and the payoff Nelson to lie and so on. So everybody, so the DPP is an idiot. Right? The police dotish. A man will come and say, I gave money. He provided the police, DPPs of everybody, with receipts, right? Wire transfer receipts. He provided them with his bank statement showing where the money left his account. All of these things he provided. He didn't go and type up thing. They would have made sure they went about verifying that these documents are legitimate. Because when they're preparing the file, the DPP this is a high profile thing. The DPP ain't just going to take the word of a man because he says so. Well, you say you gave them money. You have any proof of that? You have any receipts, any documentation to prove that you transferred this money? All these are things are part of a police investigation. But you have people who are lawyers, who are intimately familiar and aware with the process of an investigation, coming to tell you that they bribed Nelson to lie on Ram Logan and Ram. But all the police had to do was to request a production order to serve on Scotiabank. Let us get the statements, the records on Ramdeen's account. This is the account number that Vincent Nelson said he sent the money to. We provide server production order on Scotiabank. We need to see all transactions on this account from the day it was opened to this date, right? To present, all transactions. So we're going as far back. We want to see what was the pattern of deposits going into this account in the early days. And when it is all of a sudden, we started to see big deposits coming into this account, right? And there are certain transactions we need to verify. Because a man say he gave him £20,000 on this date, £50,000 on this date, £100,000 on this date. We need to see if there are any corresponding TT transactions going into this account. That is what we need to do. So the police would have done all of these things before they took the decision to charge. But this fool feel all of us are the waterfront ilk and we don't understand how the thing works. And to come on social media and continue to spin that lie. But then when you're an inveterate liar, you have no conscience. No conscience. You expect nothing different. Anyway, I'm going to continue.
usurping the authority of the DPP. Then now he in court arguing that it was illegal and wrong anyway, so they couldn't do it. And you all say that's okay. Del Seagate, shut down Petrotrin. Nobody says shut down Petrotrin. Fake old man dancing and whining and saying he loves Stuart Young like hog love mud. No appeal of the arbitration. Win an extra 118 million plus a 10-year contract worth 900 million. And all they said that's okay. It had to be Obeah. We see massive stores coming out now. And the shame Gervais Warner, the CEO, don't say that's his #1 secret weapon. That's his greatest program. Gervais Warner talk early on. Now the board trying to pretend that the woman lied. So the woman is just so from brilliant, intelligent, all she likes, she just gone mad. She just decide to write a 13-page treatise fabricating on a program that she attended. Really? Just so?
Yeah. So she just gone mad. She just decided to write a 13-page where you say treatise or whatever. Them didn't like to make up things. Yeah, and to report on a program that she attended. So she gone mad, right? I want to ask him. So Stacey Rupnarayan was mad. Stacey Rupnarayan was suffering from a bout of insanity when she wrote a letter on behalf of the board of NIDCO to Kamla Prasad-Bissessar complaining about possible ministerial interference on the part of Suraj Rambachan. Stacey was mad, Anil? Yeah, she was mad. She just wake up this one morning and decide to do that. I go in and write a letter and say it's because the board of NIDCO tell me this is this and they have concerns. She was mad. She sent a letter to Kamla. What did Kamla do? Did she act on it? Did she investigate to determine whether or not there was any veracity to it? No. You send the letter to the man on whom the complaint was made and tell him you fix that. I want to ask him again. Eleanor Donaldson Honeywell, now Justice Donaldson Honeywell, when she wrote the letter to Kamla complaining about certain possible wrongdoing in the office of the Attorney General with respect to the payment of awards for prison litigation, the prison gate matter. Eleanor Donaldson Honeywell, she was mad, right? She was crazy. She just wake up one morning and decide, you know what? I'm going to fabricate a letter, fabricate some allegations and put it in a letter and send it to none other than the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, right? Eleanor was mad. She too was suffering from the same bout of insanity that Stacey Rupnarayan was suffering from, right? You see, listen, these blasted hypocrites, all of a sudden, you know what, who legitimate. But when that happened, those two letters, where was he? He had anything to say about that? Why didn't he come to Stacey Rupnarayan's defense? Why didn't he come to Eleanor Donaldson Honeywell's defense? But you're coming to Miss Pariso Potts or whatever her name is, defense, right? Yeah, because she's not mad. So she wrote a letter and we need to look at that. Two other significant letters involving public monies, taxpayer monies, treasury monies. He didn't come to talk about it. But he wanted to be a minister again, right? And you have about 300 and something thousand people who are more than happy to give him the opportunity.
Well, they will have to show me and the whole country she mad papers. Other than that, Gervais Warner must resign. The entire Massey board must resign. And for me buying nothing in Massey. Is Obeah, all you're going to talk to the dead? All you're serious with US dollars when living people here in Trinidad and Tobago cannot get it? We go get into that some more. But I telling you, all your people who spiritual pray for the Dogra. Dogra not playing that. Obeah will lose when living, spiritual, beautiful, good people pray to God Almighty, to Allah, Shiva, Lord Ram, Buddhists, everybody pray for this country because we in a deep, dark nightmare. And they don't want to debate. They try to thwart it, but they can't stop it.
The only deep, dark nightmares, they were dragging coffin all over the country, right? Putting pictures of officials, the Prime Minister, the President, ministers of government in this coffin and going in front of people's house dragging coffin. That wasn't necromancy. That wasn't Obeah. Yeah, that nothing wrong with that. That's normal. Dragging coffin all over the country. That was normal. And you had no issue with that. That hasn't contributed to anything. Right. Yeah. You know, talk about like you forget about that. Forget about that. Go and tell Victor Charles that. Or what Victor, whatever the hell his name is. I ain't godfather and I wasn't invited to the baptism. So go and tell him that. Yeah, about dragging coffin and the impact of that. But you want to talk about what the Prime Minister. And I see someone in the comments here saying, what is his name? Winston Batchelor is saying, go on Facebook, on YouTube, and you will see Dr. Rowley saying he did Obeah on Mr. Money. Dr. Rowley said what he said, right? Nobody here is denying what Dr. Rowley said, whether it was said in jest or he was serious about it. He said it. We're not going to, you see, we here, I'm going to tell Winston something. We here, we're not going to pretend. We say, oh, no, thing. Yes, Dr. Rowley said that. He said it. It is there for all to fall and son. We're not denying it here. But I am pretty sure that Dr. Rowley didn't do such things. But even if that is for him, that is his cross to bear, if in fact that is what happened. I wasn't there. I don't know. Yes, I too saw the video. So I'm going to come here and lie and say thing and whatever and take it. It was said and it was interpreted in the way that it was interpreted. And I said whether he said it in jest or there was any seriousness to it, that is for Dr. Rowley to deal with. That's his business. His cross to bear. Right? But at the end of the day, I'm saying, so well, I want to come and bring up this thing and talk about that. There are plenty of things we can bring up. We can play it for that. It's all there too. But you see, we're not going on that road. I said we don't engage and practice in hypocrisy here, my friend. Right? So what is and the issue here is that with all the things that are currently happening in the country, when you're desperate and you have a slow news day, and you don't have anything current to come and criticize the Prime Minister about, you have to go back to thing while they talk about donkey years now. How much years now while they talking about that? How many years now while they talking about that? You have nothing fresh you could have criticized the Prime Minister about? No, because there's only positive things happening. Things that if those of you who are UNC sycophants and of the waterfront ilk cannot deny is good. Or like I help all yourself. So it's better to just keep quiet. Just keep quiet. You come back again, you're trying to justify Rowley. I am not justifying anything, Mr. Batchelor. I said if Dr. Rowley did see that, and whatever his motive, whether it is he was saying it in jest or if he was serious and he went and do anything, that is for him to deal with. He has to answer for that to his maker, not us. All right? That is the point that I am making. Get it through your thick skull. I am not denying that Dr. Rowley said anything and I'm trying to justify anything. He said it. And whatever his motives for saying it, that is for him to deal with. At the end of the day, it was heard, and yet still the population in the majority voted for the People's National Movement led by Keith Rowley in 2020. Politicians say things all the time. It is not for me to determine Dr. Rowley's motives. If you want to know that, go and ask him. Go on he has a Facebook page, he has a Instagram page, go and send him a private message. DM him and ask him, go in his inbox and ask him about that. But we are not denying here it was said. I'm not trying to defend anything or to justify anything. How is that justification? I said he said it, and if it is he did that, that is for him to deal with. All right? Sheesh. I mean, come on, man, all serious? Really? That's the only things you all could focus on? Mr. Batchelor, what are your views on the Dragon gas deal? The fact that the government of Trinidad and Tobago was able to do something, under Keith Rowley was able to do something that Kamla Prasad-Bissessar couldn't, which was to sign a 30-year lease, right, to monetize the gas in the Dragon field. What have you to say on that? You have any thoughts on that? You have any thoughts on what took place yesterday, the opening of the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate, which is going to see foreign direct investment? We already have foreign tenants there, and more to come. What are your thoughts on that? You only want to study what Anil said about Dr. Rowley and what Dr. Rowley say he did to Mr. Manning. What are your thoughts on that? Let us hear what are your thoughts on that. You have nothing to say about that, and all the other good things that is happening in the country, right? The CWIP, the Community Water Improvement Program under Marvin Gonzalez, where they are providing water throughout the country. 61% of the population now receiving 24/7 water supply. Nobody in the UNC has refuted that. What have you to say on that, Mr. Batchelor? Anything? You have any thoughts on that? This is why I can't take what's all here. All the things that were said this morning, that's the only thing you could focus on. What are your thoughts on what the leader of the opposition and her minions, a band of merry misfits, did at Mr. Pandey's cremation? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that it was proper that they went there to play politics? That rather than show respect for the family, went and using the opportunity now to greet people and shake hands and all of that, looking for photo ops and so on. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that was proper? Do you think that was fitting? That was the time and place for that to be done? What are your thoughts on that? Share that with us, please. Share your thoughts on the $2.38 billion in profit that NGC made that was reported to us just a few days ago. And the government is not going to use that money to engage in any folly like the Beetham wastewater treatment plant and to buy Fed tickets, $1 million+ in all-inclusive Fed tickets for members of government and the entourage. South Cancer Fed tickets. I don't even know if they still have that Fed. Right? That $2.38 billion, some of that would be used for the benefit, whatever dividends are paid, would be used for the benefit of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to continue what they're doing now. Pave road, to improve. The Minister of Health announced last week or week before, $34 million has been allocated to improve the Mount Hope Hospital, the San Fernando Hospital, and others. So what you see there now would be significantly improved, and they're going to bring the quality of these hospitals up to 21st century. What are your thoughts on that? You have no thoughts on that, but you want to come and tell me about go on YouTube and see Dr. Rowley. I don't need to go on YouTube. I saw it on numerous occasions. You all have made it a point to put it on several of your propaganda pages to say Rowley deal in Obeah. Okay, fine, no problem. It's not the first time I will accuse the PNM of Obeah. But room 201, when your Prime Minister and your Minister of Sport then come to tell us that was PNM Obeah and PNM voodoo, and only buy that foolishness and try to sell that to the rest of us. Don't know what upon you all was selling it, but we didn't buy it. Keep that for yourself. Oliver, where are you? Share your thoughts. Tell us, what are your thoughts on that? I'm not blocking anybody, right? I have control over the YouTube. The Facebook, we have other admins who can deal with that. But I'm not blocking you. Where are you now? Share your thoughts on those things now. You have nothing to say? You're not serious. You cannot be serious. Folks, I did tell you all that I have an early morning, so let me open the lines one time. The other things I wanted to touch on as well quickly, I see that in the face of the increase in the minimum wage to assist, and you see, these are the things that these people should be talking about, right? But they only focus on what Rowley say, that the government instituted an increase in the minimum wage because people were calling for that, right? They were calling for it. And it happened. And now we see Pennywise has decided that they are going to, they're no longer going to pay their employees for their lunch hour and their 15-minute break, which they were being paid for before, because they say the increase in the minimum wage of $3 or so is taking a toll on them. And so now the staff would no longer be paid for lunch. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Bachu? You have any thoughts on that? You want to blame the government for that? That's government fault, right? The government tell them pay your workers more. And they came up with an innovative and ingenious way of depriving their employees. So that they've circumvented the increase. So the government say pay more, but I want to know how they plan to, you all have any thoughts on that? None. The Doglaya wouldn't do a doubles and coffee to talk about that. No, he wouldn't do a doubles and coffee to talk about that. So the government trying to improve the lives of citizens by increasing the minimum wage, and you have employers now who trying to circumvent that. But all they quick to blame the government. Oh, the cost of living going up and this and that and whatever. The government only pay 4%, so that these public servants get a pay raise. And these poor workers in Pennywise will be working from morning till night. Morning till night, all 7 o'clock and things, they're still there when the stores close or whatever. You think Pennywise can afford to pay this increase? Every time they just open a much larger store in Arima, right? Where American stores used to be, they buy out that. Let me just get this here. Hold 1 sec from here, John. Let me just switch devices here so I can connect to the. So Massey using their own money, their own US to pay for the training. While they come in, boycott Massey. Let me boycott Massey. because they're using their own money, the US that they earn in the US dollars that they earn in the US and other territories where they operate. The US that they're earning from exporting stuff to other countries, right? They're using that for their training. Like we boycott Massey and boycott Massey, but Pennywise say we're not paying staff for the lunch hour, and we're not paying them for the 15-minute break. Nobody ain't calling for a boycott on Pennywise. Something for a special place in hell for there. Let me put this thing on. Let me ask Jenny if they are allowed to do that. Jenny, you there?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, I know you went to industrial relations. With this thing with Pennywise, they could do that?
What Pennywise did? I kind of missed that.
Right. So because of the increase in the minimum wage, they've decided that they're no longer going to pay staff for their lunch hour and their 15-minute break to make up for the increase in their wage bill.
They have that had to be in something contract. Because if you're telling me now that you're not paying for my lunch hour, so it means to say you're paying me for how much? 7 days a day now, a week now?
7 hours a day. That's
well, if the contract, because if you're getting the work, there must be some type of contract. If it is that you're working 8 hours and getting paid for that, and the employer decide, you can remember this is daily rated officers, right? Or workers.
Yeah.
And it's when you work, you get paid.
Yes.
That is totally different than monthly rated officers.
Oh.
So yes, I guess they could do that if they want. It doesn't sound good. However, they're not telling you don't have a lunch hour.
Yeah.
They tell you take a lunch hour and you're not going to get paid for that. So technically speaking, during your lunch hour, you don't work.
Well, apparently. Yeah.
So if they choose not to pay you for the hour you're not working, that is their choice.
Wow.
And again, it's because it's daily rated officers.
Wow.
Yeah, so these things will happen and people just have to know their rights.
Yeah.
Right. Good morning, Dominic, and morning to all those who are locked in, tuned into Facts and Stubborn Things. Yesterday, Kamla Prasad tried to upstage the funeral of the late Mr. Pandey. It was very distasteful and shameful. From the start of the whole thing, you know that she may have been slighted because Makela Pandey did not mention her by name. She called Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And I look at that as something because she called Dr. Rowley by his whole name. She didn't just say Keith Rowley, she said Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And she went on to thank Dr. Avery Brown and what they would have done in a week time to put together this magnificent memorial funeral for her father. And Dr. Avery Brown didn't do it in isolation. It would have been with the approval of cabinet. And Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley sits at the head of the cabinet. And this is a PNM government in office now. And then you see Ansley Ajoda, who to my knowledge was not a PNM supporter. I know he was in UNC. He would have written some glowing commendation about this administration and Dr. Amy Brown, because he was the person in the middle who they contacted to be liaising with the family, the Pandey's family. And he would have said that everything the Pandeys asked for, that this administration give it to them. And he said if he wasn't convinced before, well, up in my way, you know, he wasn't convinced before or didn't like or whatever, he has been convinced when he saw the professionalism and the way that even though Mr. Basil Pandey was an adversary, political, that this government, this administration would have put all those things aside and given Mr. Pandey a funeral fitting for any dignitary in this country. So those are the things that have Kamla and this Junkin one, spit him out one, had to talk today or tomorrow, whatever. And again, it was classless of Kamla Prasad to go down to the cremation site. While Mr. Basil Pandey's daughters were giving him the last rites, because usually the sons do that.
Yes.
But as he has no sons, the 4 daughters will have done it. While they're giving their teary goodbye So their father, Kamla Prasad Visesa, came in with a UNC rally. As if for she funeral or somebody for she dead. And shaking hands and people with flag, all that.
Yes.
That was disgraceful and distasteful. And now let me get to funeral storm and Karen, but she picked bad. She went up to make a political statement and a PR stunt, and it backfired against her. And it looked like she had Timothy Hamill-Smith balls in she pink handbag. Because a man who is the political leader of a party that he wants to get in office to be the prime minister, to follow had her Karen to climb over a railing when there was no need to do that. And I think Louis Singh are part of that group too.
He's also a
it shows that leader. Yes, he's also right. It shows that they don't have any class. They're not ready for office. And they're totally clueless. And they would have embarrassed their families. I would have said, she should have stick and she branch crotch rip. And when Hamill is climbing over, he too, he branch crotch rip and expose all the balllessness to this country. Because I'm sure the family holding their head in shame this morning. So again, I want to say, I want to big up Miss Paula Guppy School, the Minister of Trade and Industry, and the government, of course,
yes,
and by extension, Dr. Rowley, for the opening of Phoenix Park. Because those lots are rented out to people to do business in this country, manufacturing, those who in petrochemicals and all that. So that is diversification for you. But I ain't going to talk about that. That, again, is putting Trinidad and Tobago positively on the map. And they ride by the port there upon Lisa, so business will be nice. But they ain't going to talk about that. They ain't going to talk about all those who graduated from all those programs, whether YTEP, Milet. They won't talk Milat. They won't talk about those things. They won't talk about the benefits and the interests and the opportunities that are there for any citizen of Trinidad and Tobago to take part. If you can read and write, it has altar free. Nursery to tertiary education. All the programs are there that you could be assisted to get involved in. And I'd say they keep talking about diversification. Phoenix Park is diversification. The guy with the bakery who is going to open our next one, having opportunity, that is diversification and opportunity. But they won't talk about that. All they have to happen, like the idiot on your life there, is about Dr. Rowley saying over Obeah. You know, before I go, you know it's instructive. They always like to talk about African people working Obeah, right? But right on Synergy, it have a Hindu pundit advertising Obeah. And tell you to come by he could bring back your loved ones and what you go do. All on Frederick Street and Charlotte Street, they giving you a car to come upstairs in the place to walk Obeah. Indian people. They don't talk about them things. They don't talk about Puja and Kali Puja. But everything is Obeah and African Obeah. The Syrians have their own thing. Let us do. All races have their rituals and practice a traditional things. Let us do the way they pray and the whatever. The Catholics, why you don't go back, you don't go up on Mount St. Benedict and tell them up there that it's Obeah they're walking. When people go to get a holy water to bless the car, I hope it's not foreign use car, to bless the car, it's not up Mount St. Benedict, just go buy the holy water. No, them thing is Obeah. But anything African people do, how they pray and how they worship is Obeah. But again, that is small thinking of people. And again, kudos to Ms. Paula Guppy School. Kudos to Dr. K. Christopher Rowley, our transformational leader. Kudos to my member of parliament and all the members of parliament who are getting themselves on social media and getting involved in whether TikTok or whether it is on Instagram, wherever it is, to show the work that the ministry is doing and what the government is doing. Because that is where we will get the young people for them to understand the importance. But I see the dumb educator, talking to young people about voting. Well, boy, we reach. Dominic has gone, have a blessed one.
Ooh. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dom darling.
Morning. I am good.
Where do I begin to tell the story of Sarah to Shara? Timmy Tim Tim. The numbers still they could jump the fence and storm the fox's funeral. Who they go next? We sent the going to jump. It have no car, it have no spoon. The jack wanna jump over the moon. That's my song for them. I go jam them till hell get cool. Oh Lord have mercy, Dominic. Never done minute more with hopeless to full. Then NTA a perfect couple. Donkey, horse and uncommon manure. Come to ask a question now, the entourage. Did it go to bury the tree too? Did it burn your toes in the fire, Camla? Because you had an entourage behind you. Was the last rites? We have come today not to bury Sunday, but to bury Camla's tree toes. Oh, Camla, darling, please jump in the fire, do us a favor and go to hell. Now, John, the people talk about the Obeah, okay? Not a coffin. That's witchcraft. You do a Kali puja to get things done. Kali is the demon of death. How do I cry about that? Hindus do witchcraft every single day. As Hindu neighbors, every morning they pick flowers and burn the incense. How the convenience so? It is smoke inhaled by them with that for the natural talent. They pick on things as non-issues. Jordan Gasdy, they quiet. Those are important things that are meant for the nation. The shade is so real, they pick at nothing because they have nothing of value to give this nation. Empty-headed, wholesale, retarded people. The place in cookery is just for them. And people hear me well. Do not put you and see. Last issue is Pennywise. Pennywise, you're filthy rich. You have become a slave master. How come Ina Roberts talk about that? Oh, Kamla Munilal. How come they quiet about that? Why don't you go protest in front of Pennywise stores? And if I were there, I'm in a shower. I'm in a shower. You ask for a drink of water. Excuse you, ma'am. I'm not being paid for my hour. I can sleep, eat, drink, smoke, and be merry on my time. From 12 to 1 is my time. When the past 1 comes, it's their time. Legal investigated. They must read the contract and see if they're being paid for that. If not, there's a caution to be the case. So I'm going to buy.
Thank you. You know what's the unfortunate thing about that? People always complaining about the Pennywise employee. We never really look at the backstory as to what may be motivating that. Now, if you so let's see. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hey, hi, morning, brother.
Good morning, sir.
It's not. The funniest thing for me about communicate as Stapa as an accomplished and national comes my youth is the worst display of men I've ever seen by the two individuals. They make Stormin look at art, well, you know at art when I do a pure or a good young back in the day?
Yes.
I thought that look boy Dominic. Like the other pass the exam. When you go the exam to pass, them feel that, you know.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get him an E for F. Understand?
Yeah.
I heard that Mr. Diversification in the Sunday Express will write something about Phoenix Park Hope and fun. This should be a strong tool in what has been calling on the government probably at the last 8 years, 29 years. Diversification. Hope will be nice enough to write something on that. And on that Pennywise situation, boy, I know this will have come in Dominic, and I expect more because you see all the little moms and top establishments, where they actually the little side shop and so on, who know that they have non-unionized staff, they will do that. And they wouldn't put that in writing because if they put that in writing, something that people will go to the industrial court for. But lo and behold, when you check your packet, you will see that, and they will say, well, you don't pay for the lunch hour and your breaks. And they will not be telling this when they interview them. I want to hear the various chambers of commerce is take on this thuggery and underhandedness. Because they will apply this and say this is a cause of rising business.
Yes.
But however, would never make the correlation between profitability as well too.
Correct.
And it's important that we know the owners of Pennywise are. I think I have an idea who they are. And if they have 1% ilk, I expect this is something that they would have discussed among themselves and said this is what we are going to do to counteract work of government. So, and you know what to do now? All the unions would turn around and blame the government and say, yes, we thought this will happen. These wicked pharmaceutical guys who was they have to get rich for the lives of the what they improve.
Yes.
So that have done this. Understand? I am hoping that the Minister of Labour, Mr. McClatchy, and something would come out from Obeah School to bring these people to heel. Because make no mistake, there are several programs that these people are subject to.
Yes.
As small business and so on, and then like one other things. And if they want to keep accessing, we have to put these screws on them in that aspect. And also, I expect the Minister of Finance to say something as well when it comes to the issue of VAT refunds.
Yes.
Because what you want to do, then we could also do something with your VAT as well. We could also do investigation on whether you submit NIS payments for these workers as you are from their salaries. I want to see a concomitant response with respect to that Pennywise atrocity. That's what I call it. But I just had to say that in the course of this year, my contributions might be a little less frequent because I'm doing some tertiary level studies, but you know how does go.
Congrats.
Online, so that, you know what I mean, I'll drop it from time to time, but I will listen. Once I could get a chance to listen, I'll listen. But the frequency of my engagements might be a little less. I think some people may be happy at that. But my brother, we'll continue our work. I will do my part to try and assist when I can.
I appreciate it.
Have a good.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we're all the Bleeding Heart Union leaders. I mean, I don't think Pennywise is unionized, but still, because Pennywise is not a publicly traded company, so therefore they don't have to. They can't come and say, well, shareholders and stuff. It's a private company, it's a family-owned company, and therefore all the profits from that business goes to them. Every time when they opened the branch in Arima the other day and they looked at the comments under the post, people were saying, we want a Pennywise in Sangre Grande, we want one in Point 14, man, only come in Tobago. So there is demand for Pennywise. So if you all want to make more money, just simply open more outlets, that's all. Why is it that, and your workers are amongst I don't want to say the lowest paid, but we know where they fall in terms of the economic ladder. How much is it going to cost you? I mean, how much money are you going to save by not paying them for their lunch hour and their 15-minute break? But take back your 15-minute break. Take it back. But pay them for the lunch hour as the case may be. But then you go to when it is you're going to Pennywise now, when you see the workers looking grumpier than usual, or you're getting attitude a little more, extreme than usual. No why? Because every time you go on lunch, you say, I ain't getting no pay for it. Hello, good morning. Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Good morning, Dominic. And good morning to all the listeners.
Greetings.
Good contribution, and I agree too. Not only Pennywise doing that, no. Other well-established organizations doing that, even supermarkets.
Yes.
And new supermarkets that are opening all about. Right?
Yes.
And when you look at the ethnicity of who owning it, and how they're treating certain people of Afghanistan, you will understand what's going on in this country. Right?
Yes.
Right. With respect to Miss Nunes to Shara, she's looking for relevant. But you know what the starting is? She's a former PNM. And she's a list of embarrassment of people who all of a sudden turn against the PNM and against Dr. Rose. Let me give you an example. She alone is not she. Remember Peter Taylor?
Yes.
Peter Taylor, who was the MP from Moroga Tibala. And guess what he do? And he went and campaigned for the so-called UNC candidate in the 2020 election.
Yes.
Right, because you have a parliament gypsy who was UNC.
Yes.
But you went and campaigned for a UNC candidate. You remember a gentleman, the flag man Gary? Remember where his brother went up as? Right? And because of one of the factors where, because of that background confusion, where they wanted to go to the court and they wanted to do recount, people who government back. Remember that?
Yes, yeah.
Right. Remember Mr. Mariano Brown? And what he took, after he was criticizing the government? All of them was brought in the 2007 film of Mr. Manning. Right? And look what they're doing now. And with respect to Miss, with the funeral, I want to congratulate the government for holding a good state funeral. Unfortunately, it was tarnished by that actor of Mr. Shera. And also the because I saw with USC flag and a two bold face with images of Pastor Pandey, the blue flags of Pastor Pandey. Right? Waving. But I think it was all about she. Right?
Yes.
Even Makira Pandey was into the politics because she was talking about her father is bringing dollar for dollar. Right?
Yes.
For the politics in that. But I want to tell the authorities, be wary about, let's talk about constitutional reform. Right? Because when it comes to constitutional reform, the UNC wants to replace people's people with proportional representation.
Right.
Or let me use the word, the so-called run-off bill. Right? Run-off bill, and I will tell you example what to think. That run-off bill, you see what transpired in Brazil? In the last election, that was a run-off. And I see how it ended up with violence. Right? And that is what they want to bring in. Right? They had a problem. Well, they want to bring in independent. They went to England and said they rather live under the crown. Under than independent. Remember that? Under the USP? Right? So what you think about constitution? When it comes to constitutional reform, you want the proportional representation. You know why? Because they tell themselves their ethnic group is supposed to be larger than the African group. And that is why they want the run-up, because they believe in the popular vote. And that is why they all call it PNM a minority government. Read between the lines, Dominic. You understand that? That is why when they talk about the government is illegal, is a minority government. They know what it means. And I had a question this year on that thing because I want to find what is the actual ratio of African to Indian in this country. Because I see somebody is lying in. Like they ain't taking account about the mixed race. If the mixed race is actually competition is actually true. Because as far as I am concerned in the United States, once you have element of black in there, you're considered black, It's not mixed, right?
Yes.
So that is something to think about. I question the CSO, that the CSO need to reevaluate the demographics again. And ask yourself, who have more blackness in the mixed population? Right? And that is our next talk by itself, because I have some of them who don't consider themselves black.
You too, sir. Thank you much. Right, so let me just get this here. Right? So this was an Express article dated yesterday, I think. Speaking to the Express Business, that's not. Express Business spoke to Pennywise director Dr. Shivam Palladi, who sought to shed light on the decision and its justification. Palladi said the company always paid the lunch hour and 15-minute breaks for staff. However, he said with the increase in the minimum wage, the policy was amended. He said that it is a perk we had for the employees. We used to give them paid lunch. I don't think that is a normal thing. I know it is not a normal thing because all of our accountants and labor lawyers and consultants told us that that was not a normal thing, but was something that we were always doing, Palladi said. He said, but with this minimum wage change, it is a big change. So obviously it is either we raise our prices or we find ways to minimize the loss. She says here, Pennywise workers work for 10 hours a day. They give the breakdown here of whatnot. So he's saying it was actually a perk to staff to pay them for their lunch hour. Right, and the excuse is so that is either we stop paying staff for their lunch hour and the break, or we increase the prices of our goods for you, the consumers. So we're really looking out for our customers, so the staff will pay the price. Okay, I like interesting logic. Interesting logic, sir. Jenny.
Yeah, Dominic, I would have given you the side of the employer in terms of a deliberated officer, what Pennywise did in terms of not paying for the lunch hour again. And some time out they had 50 minutes break. Now let me give you the side from a union perspective now in terms of rights of workers. The reason why they're able to do that is because Pennywise workers are not unionized. I want to give kudos to NEJFW and James Lambert, and they become Massey workers are unionized. That is a union that is there. I will advise Pennywise workers and one of those smaller unions, even NEJFW, that who represent the elected officers, try and get the 50% plus one workers as members of your union, and then fight for the right to represent those workers. That is the saving grace that they have. Because a union now will be able to sit and negotiate with Pennywise in terms of that. And the same thing you just said, just don't pay for the 15 minutes break. What is the 50 minutes break for? Stop the 50 minutes break and pay for the lunch hour. So they have the 50 minutes break, everything right in there. And the work continue. But to say, you're not paying for the lunch hour and you're not paying for the 50 minutes break. So what you're actually doing, you're taking food out of the mouth of workers. And you're also telling them that if you want to sit down and rest your foot from standing up, you're doing that on your own, That is heartless. So that's the next part. So I will advise, but you know what has happened to workers? They must be afraid to join a union, because to them that signal immediate firing. But I want to let them know, in the Industrial Relations Act, anybody could be a part of a union and the employer cannot fire them or victimize them because they join a union. That is your right. And if it happens, you can take them to the labor board. But people must be scared, and I know it's a human thing because it's your work. But we have to stop being afraid and know our rights. And I'm telling Pennywise workers, get a union involved, or you go and join a union. if it's 3,000 workers in Pennywise or in the Arima department or wherever department is 100, whatever, it just needs 100 plus one. Go and join a union. There's NEGFW, there's contracted workers, there's amalgamated, and all those other smaller unions that deals with daily rated officers. Get yourself unionized and be protected from the employers who are trying to take advantage of you. So that I will just leave it there with that. But they do have rights, but they may be scared. But there's nothing to be afraid of. Because if 20 or 30 people join a union and Pennywise fire 20 or 30 of them, which they wouldn't dare to do, then you're going to see nothing. But it just needs somebody to be brave. I wish somebody, one of them could call me and I'll advise them. Because that is unconscionable to use that to say, because the minimum wage has increased, that you're taken away, you're not paying, not taken away, and that's where they're being smart. They're saying you can't have lunch, you know. Or you can't have an hour lunch, you know. They're saying they're not paying for it again. And it's their business. Where you go tell them. They say they ain't getting 50 minutes break again, you know. They didn't say that, you know. They said they're not paying for that.
Correct.
It's on your time, so they never tell you you can't take your 15 minutes. And that's a little tricks of the trade. And I'm sure they may have an industrial relation person with them who advising them. But I advise the workers, all they get together and go to one of them small unions that deal with daily rated officers, join the union, and just, if you want, only call massy workers and find out what they did and how the process went. Call NEGFW and get advice on how that could happen. That is what I'll tell them. Call amalgamated, call contractors, call a union, and know your rights. So that is just my thing again this morning.
Thank you, Jen. Brian, give me 1 second. 1 second. I want to tell I see Mr. Bachelor here on a roll this morning, right? You come about rolling in the back pocket of the 1%. Well, let me read this for you, right? The owners of Pennywise is not what you consider to be the 1%. Apparently, it's an East Indian family called the Paladi family. Paladi revealed, I'm reading an article here, when they opened the big store in Arima the other day, Paladi revealed some exciting plans in the works of Pennywise, including expansion and a change in management. He said, we intend to come out with a new mall again. They just built up, they have a big mall on Nasalura Maya Road there, Shagona, that stretch of road from the Ministry of Agriculture go down to Price Plaza, where all this development taking place there. They have Pennywise Plaza, which has a number of tenants. So it's not just Pennywise, they have Standards and a whole set of other businesses there. So they are also landlords collecting rent. He said, we intend to come out with a new mall again. We will be building a mall in the east over the next 2 to 3 years that is already working in the making. It will take some time, but that's the next plan. My 3 sons, these young guys are coming to take over the show. They are all well trained and all of them are involved in the business. Very soon, I will be taking a secondary space in Pennywise lineup to allow them to take the mantle and, of course, carry the company forward. And this is, what is this guy's name? Dalvi Paladi is the CEO of Pennywise. So to Mr. Bachelor, you're talking about the 1% and Dr. Rowley allowing the 1%. So you could probably include them in the 1% too in terms of wealth. Yeah, but in terms of what you all define as 1%, yes, it's an East Indian family, not Syrian Lebanese. Brian, morning.
Morning, Dominic.
Yes,
morning to your listeners and callers. But you see, Dominic, this is the lie being perpetuated around the country when the Honorable Minister of Finance indicated that they were thinking, and the Honorable Prime Minister as well indicated that they were thinking of raising the minimum wage. And a lot of people were behind them, attempting to get them to raise it to $30 an hour. And in instance of the opposition leader, $25 an hour. But I remember the head of the Supermarkets Association indicating that the $3 will not bother anybody because a lot of the workers were being paid more than that $20.50 an hour. But look today, a Pennywise is no scroungy, scrunty little enterprise, private enterprise.
Correct.
But the majority of the workers there on their feet. If you go into a Pennywise, you don't really see workers sitting down, even those behind the counter.
Correct. Yes.
And therefore, when all of these workers have to work 8 and 10, sometimes maybe 12 hours when they have to repack, them have to repack the shelves. Nobody else wants to do that. So they have to stay back and see about that, especially these. Now, I mean, let's talk about it. Pennywise is expanding. They're getting larger. As I told you all a couple of weeks ago, in San Fernando, they were on top of Point of Pear Road there. Now they're going to bottom of High Street, and they're 2 or 3 times the size. Anybody from South could bear me out. You understand? They closed down the small thing that they had there top of High Street. Now they're going to the bottom of High Street now where they've taken over a large acreage. And these workers have to repack those sheds. Not an easy thing to do. Sometimes repacking taking place while everybody working. So therefore to come and say, as Jenny would have said, sometimes you want to join a labor union. But you're frightened because you know why? It's just like the woman who working in the casinos. You could recall that issue. So many of them have a child to see about. They are single parents. And all of these things that they were pushing. You think it's any different in Pennywise? Or any other private enterprise? So when most of them, I should not say that, when some of them maybe wanting to do that and telling the workers, listen, we're not going to pay you all for lunch. You understand? Either you stay or you go. They will get people to come in there and work for minimum wage. So when the Honorable Minister of Finance says that increase in minimum wage will affect over 190,000 people, the people of themselves will scoff at and say, no, there's nobody working for minimum wage in Trinidad. Deputy said so. But look today, look what you have. Chickens coming home to roost. And if you want to pay for it, who paying for it? The workers. But to get them, Jenny, morning to you, to join a union is a as you were right, it's a scary thing because many of them will not want to risk it for fear of being pointed at. And next thing you know, they're out of a job, which they really need at this time. And maybe looking nowhere else. And they're there for such a long time now, they're already saturated in that position or wherever it is. And they're not going to look to, to raise a hornet's nest.
Yes.
But it is what it is. You see how that progresses. Some of that, you see this will all die away and it'll all stay there, and Pennywise will continue to grow and expand. Right? Because as you rightly said, they have a lot of ideas and a lot of things are happening. Just like Bright Ideas. Bright Ideas expanding. You understand? You think the workers getting way above minimum wage? Not many of them. But it goes to show that these businesses that are owned by the Passat, the same Passat, who own the Food King. You understand? They are the same people who own Bright Ideas. And they also have a restaurant I told you about. You understand? But this is how it is. Good. That is why many of them are not unionized. A lot of these private enterprises don't have no union. Massey is different. Understand? But how many of them will go the way of having a union representation? How many of those workers are so brave enough to say, hey, all you let's get together? There's always strength in numbers, I agree. But how many of them are going to do that and go through all of that they have to go through without getting pressure from the bosses and the owners? Dominic, I don't want to talk about Karen Nunes issue. That has been exhausted as far as I'm concerned. Right? And I'm not going to waste any more energy on her.
Yes.
What I want to talk about is the political slap that some people still feeling since Tuesday that Makela Pandey gave to the opposition leader. Very few people, because this Nunes issue thing has has taken over the airwaves on all the media airwaves. You understand? Print, social, everybody. But that political slap where she was up in the back, out of the periphery of Michaela Pandey, and how Michaela Pandey congratulated this government for being magnanimous in what they did to assist her from beginning to end, she and her family. And it is really worth mentioning, and everybody, you see that right now they're looking to see where they could find something to talk about, but there's nothing to talk about. They would have had news conferences already. So she goes down there by the showpiece, you understand, and looking to take advantage, which was so poor. And I hope the people of the UNC, the representatives, see this and say, nah, man, what is this about? Are they so desperate? And Roger, I'm going to tell you, I feel Roger has been promised something. It can't be after all that she said and did about you and some of the companies you represented. They never completed the negotiations with them before 2015. She turned her back on you and had you like a little dog in Woodford Square. You understand? And you come back now, you go by the showpiece and you shaking hands and kowtowing. You have been promised something and it will be revealed. I'm certain. We shall see. You've been promised, and whatever it is you've been promised, brother, once bitten, you know the rest.
Correct.
You understand? Because I can't understand. You kowtowing to somebody who had made a fool of you and had you begging. You don't have 5 cents to your name. But you can't buy the refinery. I don't know what it is she could promise you. Maybe she'll give it to you for free. I wait to see that. Because it ain't no easy to go. The refinery is not a little parlor. You could go and open it and start to sell.
Yes.
It takes a lot. And I have told you all years ago, every day that passes by is going to take billions. It is no longer millions. It's billions of dollars to rectify that refinery and start it back. I've heard some people say, well, they could start up a part of it while they repair the rest. No, that is an integrated refinery, sir. It does not work like that. Once you begin to bring in oil, the products have to go somewhere to be further refined. The only thing that does not happen that you can sell as is kerosene. There's no blender for kerosene. It is either kerosene or aviation fuel. You understand? The specs are different. But everything else has to be blended. It has to go to storage, and there has to be a blending process to bring it to spec. So don't be fooled. And a lot of thievery took place when the refinery closed down because it was abandoned by security on the same said day. And people walked in there and stole and pilfered. So don't think that, hey, you're going to come in there and just press a button and you're going to start back up. No, that's not going to happen. So what we're going to see, we all shall see, because maybe they may have a plan, but I don't know what year that will be, because I doubt very much they're going to win in 2025. Understand? But this is what it is. And Dominic, the diversification process, congratulations to the government. You see that Phoenix Park E-Tech project? It is one of the biggest, if not one of the most modern in the Western Hemisphere. But I'm talking about the Caribbean, I'm talking about the Western Hemisphere. Because I listened to the deputy vice president of Beijing Construction. Man can't talk a word of English. But that man is here, and that man, what he had to say, because it was coming up on the screen behind him. You understand the conversion language? And the point is that they have equity now, because this is what the Honorable Prime Minister was attempting to do, to say, listen, don't just come and build, you'll be part and parcel of it. And that is what they want to do. Therefore, therein comes the investment, and they're going to bring, well, they started with the Samsonite. What else they're going to bring, we're going to see eventually. But it takes time to build, and I must again talk about Paula Gopi-Spoon. She is working extremely hard, and we are now reaping those benefits slowly but surely. But one mistake in 2025 could erode all of these efforts, Dominic. You know that, I know that, and all the listeners and callers know that. They know that. So when your friends are talking about Obeah, you're right, he have nothing to talk about. He's talking about Obeah. Well, anyway, he must know about Obeah. You understand? But it just goes to show, it takes a lot of work for diversification. And the government is going full steam ahead, or I would always continue to say, I know they have money financial constraints, but go a little faster, please now. Because we need to get certain things done at least before the next election. Get it done, get it completed. And the digital information age that we have something to get into, this paperless type of economy, let's get there a little faster, please. Because people can easily come in and erase and erode what has been done. But once you have it there in a computer and you store it, it is difficult to remove it. It will take time, especially if you have backup computers that keep and maintain and record. We need to get that done as quickly as possible. So, Minister Bacchus, please work faster. Do what you need to do, sir. Get it done. And I'll be extremely happy with that. Dominic, once again, I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And one more thing before I go. That NGC profit that they made of $2.38 billion. You know, they made more than that the last fiscal year, the year before that. They made 2.5. So just picture, Dominic, that when NGC, and we start to get first gas, and that comes on stream with Atlantic LNG, Dominic. Dominic, think of where we will be, where this country will be, Dominic, in the mid to long term future. Just think about it for a second. Dominic, when last year people in Central complain about water? Since they build those wells, do you hear any complaints from anybody from Freeport?
Been a while.
Not a word. You hear complaining about the roads? Not a word. You know why? Because the government is working. Minister Gonzalez is working. And that is what is important. So they can't complain. They're looking for things to complain about. Nobody is saying, no, you're not pothole again. Why? Tell us why. Because things are being done not only in government, they call it counties and so on, but all over Trinidad and Tobago. And this is to congratulate this government for looking at all of Trinidad and Tobago, and not just little pieces like that small-minded UNC. They have nothing to say so far. They're looking for things. Let them continue to look. We will continue to promote the country and build it. Dominic, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Morning, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Right, good morning to you, Mr. Rubin. Good morning to the listeners and the viewers. Good contribution as usual, Brian. Dominic, there's a slogan I will always remember from the late Prime Minister Pasio Pandey. Didn't Jack Warner said on Merchant Trace Junction that you was so drunk you fall on Gandhi statue? That is a record, Kamla. I didn't say that. As Jack said that. Do you have the guts to want to tell Jack he said about you? So it had no, what he said, it comes to pass on Tuesday. You know how you, as an opposition leader, disrespect the man family by doing that. you have no kind courtesy for the family. So in other words, you always had that in your mind to go and do that in the man funeral. Just when you did the man in 2010 when you and Jack Guerrilla Pandey from the party that he formed some 30 how much years later. You understand? That's why the late Pandey could come out and say he didn't know what's that thing that called UNC. You understand? Because Kamala take that party to the all-time low in this country. And the followers continue to follow that stupidness and that rhetoric and racial baiting in that party. You understand? And hoping to pray that they will piggyback on the crime problem in this country to win the election next year, God's willing. But that ain't happening. UNC, nothing. You understand? Kamala Princessa, nothing. Buddha Munilal, nothing. You understand? All of that, no shame whatsoever, none whatsoever. You go in a former prime minister funeral, and I got to understand, Dominic, that she did that in the late President Sir Ellis Clark's funeral as well. You understand? It's not about you to shill up with sister. When you die, you will get that. Right? Respect the man's family. That's why at present she cannot catch herself when Michaela Pandey called all the dignitaries and what she said, the opposition leader. That's how they come right now. She put in. I wonder why that Michaela did not take a phone call. Ask herself why she didn't take it. When you're coming to discipline the woman's father funeral, right here, and even say she Dominic, and she waving, and she had the whole UNC entourage, and she's waving like she's like Queen Mary. I like, really? Really? As to Karen, I was a waste my time. You understand? What she gets, she take. Because you as a former Minister of Finance, right? That's what you want to do. So one example is for your students who is lecturing in NUA. One example is for the young children in school. Carnival coming up, Carnival season is in full swing. So are you giving people the opportunity to go and do what you did if they never take it in hand, right? So scale events and gain events. You understand? But then again, what you expect from a hopeless party, or they want to be the change for tomorrow, and that they cannot be here or they conducting? Really? In Trinidad and Tobago? I really hope that people understand and see that these people not about country, it's about their blinking self and self-praise. You understand? Putting that aside, let me jump to Pennywise. Right? Pennywise employs majority of the young people in this country. Right? You don't see no old person working Pennywise or people who have experience. Right? You know, some of them might not the qualifications, like when they were in school and they get the first certificate or whatever have you. Right? So they were looking for an opportunity to earn some money. Right? But Paladi and them is wicked people. You understand? There's wicked people. I personally wouldn't have my child working there because I tell you, Dominic, I was going down there and make a real cost. You understand what I'm telling you? Because you telling me in 2024, it have people who I know working there since they leave school, right? And you know they're trying to make ends meet, right? But this is what you call exploitation. You telling me if I work in there for 10 hours, no, mind you, after 8 hours, it's time and a half. 8 to 4, after 4 o'clock, you're paying me for time and a half. If it's 4 to 5, 4 to 6, or whatever have you. After 4 p.m., it's time and a half. Right? So you have to pay me for my 8 hours as well as 1 time and a half. And you want to work 7 days a week because I think they open 7 days, right?
Yes.
Right. You only work 7 days a week, minus an hour lunch. Well, I don't mind the 50-minute break. That didn't really account for. But our lunch, so you only work 10 hours straight without having lunch. But you see, my advice to the young people who get themselves involved with Pennywise, the government have initiative. Take advantage of that because all you might say, well, I have a little child to see about and have, I the only person who already working in a family and whatever have you, right? But sign up for programs the government have out there. You understand? You might be skilled in some way, either nail, makeup, whatever, right? And let Palladia and them take Pennywise and shove it up, right? Where the sun don't shine and when the monkey had it eating nuts, right? Because clearly, all them studying is themselves and their family. Because you tell me all them, Dominic, if you look at the expansion of these buildings they have in Trinidad, they had this big one in Central Day. The one in Laramie, in Gulfview or Gulf City, I can't remember exactly where it is. Right? As you recently said, the one in Arima here, the one in Tunapuna. So all that finances, all them making, and all they cannot pay a lunch hour. Now, it dawns to me now, Dominic, when they had the big highs down in San Fernando back in 2022, it raises suspicions now. You understand? It raises suspicion because for that to happen, it had to have somebody know something inside of there. So young people, take advantage. Even though if you go back to school and if it's a one subject a year or two, because I think it's free now, right? Yes, it's free now.
I think I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think there's 2 free chances after that you get to pay your money.
Okay.
Right? So go back to school. You know what I mean? You do a little 2 subject in January, you do a 2 subject in June, and the following year you do 1, and you get your full certificate, and you elevate yourself, and let Palladia and them hold this so and so. You understand? Because them don't care about you, and majority of the people in Pennywise is African people. So they get the opportunity to use that as a slave master whip all over again. As this one in the chat was saying about Asian Ishmael does praise Pennywise, he would have nothing to say about that. Because you know why? It don't affect him. You understand? But with all this thing being said and done, Dominic, good program. Young people in Pennywise and other establishments that being taken advantage of. And remember, you know what the Pennywise is? It have other places privately owned, taking advantage of young people who don't know better. And are supporting Jenny with this 400. Or they should come together and go and get a union representative to fight all their battles. Don't take people like them, Dead Horse and them like Roger and them who only studying to live offer people money. Get somebody who will be there for you to really charge the cause and fight all the battle. You understand? Pennywise, nothing. Dominic, good program for listening.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I could probably take one more quick call. As I said, I ran past where I was supposed to cut off, but people have things to say. Jenny!
Yeah, Dominic, sorry to be only calling every minute, but this Pennywise thing, me thinking on that. Now, legally, your hours of work should not exceed 44 hours, right? A week. Anytime it exceeds that by about 2, 3, 4 hours, then it either goes into overtime and you're either paid cash or you get some compensatory day or something for it. But you must get something for that, right?
Right.
I heard you all saying that they work 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
My thing is this, without knowing the contract, because that's where everything starts from.
Right.
Is it in the contract that when they work these 10 hours, they get compensatory days or they are being paid for it? Or if not, what incentives do they get for working those long hours? Is it that they get half price on the goods at Pennywise? Is it that they get paid vacation? What is the incentive? But we will just talk on the outside because we're just hearing what they're saying. And in our mind, it looks very unfair. It sounds very unreasonable and unfair. But sometimes when you look at the contract, because when they apply for work, their contract is between them and the employer. And you don't know what they signed to. No, it don't have to be a physical, black and white contract. Word of mouth between two people could form a contract. So implied or express. So I would like to really see or hear what is the parameters of the work they do and what is the contractual arrangement, whether or not verbally or it was expressed on paper. And that is how you'll be able to fight the matter for Pennywise workers.
Right.
But talking on the outside here, it's good is to raise consciousness and awareness. But any union running in there will want to know what is the contract.
Right.
So I'm working 10 hours. Okay, you take away the lunch hour, you're not paying for it. Well, not paying for it. You're not paying for the 15 minutes. Okay, let me negotiate it. What could they get that they wouldn't be so out of pocket or lose interest and benefits? Is it that after 3 months, they're going to get a paid vacation, the best worker? Is it that they're going to be put up employee of the month and employee of the month get a bonus at the end of the year? Is it the workers buy shares within the company itself so that every time the company make money, they get the dividends? And that is where a union will be very instructive so that they don't lose benefits and the interest of the workplace. But again, what Pennywise has on their side is fear of workers and the loyalty of workers.
Right.
That is why they tell them, we just pay for the lunch hour, only 50 minutes. Nobody else don't do that,
Yeah.
We was doing only a favor. And they will be pulling on their heartstring. So it will be a Stockholm syndrome. It may be very hard to get them workers to join a union because they have been conditioned that this is my job. They love me. And if I do anything, I go feel bad. And that's what the employer does hit you with. This false sense of loyalty. But we will see how it developing is. And people don't look out for Roger and them. Roger works nowhere. Roger don't have a bargaining unit. Roger is over the age. She should not be out of the union. And he getting a salary every month. Them fellas and them in have no thought more than what them could get from a union. That's my opinion. Go to them other union and them amalgamated. This guy from Nirang Maharaj from the old Trinidad Workers, General Workers Union or something. Go to them. They're more progressive in the thinking. Not Roger and them, Papa. Oh, God.
Thank you, Jen. All right, it is 8:45 and I'm well overdue, folks. I was supposed to cut off since 8 o'clock, but when the thing nice, you know how it is. So let me thank you all for joining me as always. For those of you who called in, your contributions were appreciated. And yeah, so I'll be on, God's willing, on Sunday morning. I don't think I have anything on Sunday. Yeah, so usual time, 11 o'clock. we continue the conversation. So we'll see what transpires between now and Sunday. Never a dull moment in Sweet TNT. But we know the government we have in place, and it's only good things we can expect. Yeah. So as the stories come, we'll discuss it here. And yeah, we will share the good news. If those crooks and vagabonds that soak us up clowns don't want to do it, and they come with a negative, we waiting, we will deal with them. 2024 into 2025, we have a battle to fight. So, as they say, share the life. So enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Maybe a productive one, and we will chat again on Sunday morning.